You're watching USA News Hub, your home for breaking headlines, trending sports stories, and exclusive updates from across the nation. Just when the world thought tennis had seen enough drama for 2025, something happened that shook the entire WTA locker room. A $270,000 rejection. A French star left humiliated on the world stage. And then, out of nowhere, Coco Gauff, IGA Swiatek, and nearly the entire roster of top players stood up for her. What they did next, no one, absolutely no one saw coming. In professional tennis, money talks. Sponsorships, bonuses, appearance fees, endorsement deals, these things shape careers. They can lift players into global icons, or crush them under the weight of expectations. But what happened to Caroline Garcia over the last few weeks? It wasn't just a business decision. It wasn't just a rejection, it was a public humiliation, a moment so shocking that it sparked an emotional response from some of the biggest names in the sport. And it all started with one number, $270,000. That was the offer Garcia had on the table from a major sponsor, an offer that, according to insiders, she believed was a done deal. She had the meetings, the negotiations, the handshake, the promise. But then, she got the message almost no athlete ever wants to receive. The sponsor had decided to go in a different direction. The offer was gone. The opportunity vanished. And Caroline Garcia, former world number 4, former WTA finals champion, one of the hardest working athletes on the tour, was left blindsided and heartbroken. First, she stayed quiet. She tried to deal with it privately. She tried to be strong. But the pressure kept building, especially as media outlets began reporting that the sponsor had chosen a younger, more marketable player instead. For Garcia, who had spent the last 2 years rebuilding her career after injuries, criticism, and even battles with self-confidence, this hit her harder than anyone imagined. Days later, she broke her silence. Standing in front of reporters, holding back tears, she admitted, "I feel like people only want you when you're winning. When you're perfect. I'm trying my best. But sometimes it's not enough." Her voice cracked. The room fell silent. And when that video went viral, everything changed. Because what happened next was something tennis fans had never seen before. Within minutes after Garcia's emotional clip hit social media, Coco Gauff posted a message that made headlines across the United States. She wrote, "Caroline Garcia deserves respect. She paved the way for so many of us. One sponsor's decision doesn't change her value or what she brings to this sport." The post exploded. Millions of likes. Thousands of comments. News outlets covering it instantly. Fans applauded Gauff for using her voice when it mattered most, not for herself, but for another athlete. But it didn't stop there. White medium star IGA Swiatek joins in. Soon after, world number 1 IGA Swiatek, usually calm, private, and rarely dramatic, broke her silence too. Her message was even stronger. She wrote, "We need to stop treating players like they're products on a shelf. Caroline works harder than almost anyone. She is inspiring. She deserves support, not rejection when she's vulnerable." Swiatek rarely weighs in on controversy. But this time, she chose to speak. And it sent shockwaves through the WTA. White medium star more stars stepped forward. Within hours, Ons Jabeur, Aryna Sabalenka, Jessica Pegula, Maria Sakkari, Elena Rybakina, all posted messages supporting Garcia. Some shared personal stories. Some demanded change. Some criticized the sponsor directly. One player wrote anonymously, "Many of us have been dropped or underpaid for reasons that have nothing to do with tennis. It's time people hear the truth." Suddenly, this wasn't just a story about Garcia anymore. It was a story about the pressures, the inequalities, and the emotional battles that WTA players face behind the scenes, things the public rarely sees. White medium star, the locker room moment that went viral. But the moment that sent fans into tears happened 2 days later during a tournament warm-up session. Garcia walked into the practice courts with her head down. She didn't look at anyone. She didn't smile. She just wanted to get through the day. And then, Coco Gauff walked up to her. Not quietly. Not discreetly. She walked up, hugged Garcia, and whispered something into her ear. Cameras caught it. The video spread instantly. Fans slowed the footage down. They read Gauff's lips. She said, "You're not alone. Not ever." That message became a global rallying cry. Hashtags formed. Fans began writing letters. Former players spoke out. Even Billie Jean King reposted the video with the caption, "This is what women's sports should look like." White medium star, the sponsor's statement backfires. Feeling the pressure, the sponsor attempted to release a clarifying statement. They wrote that they were unable to reach an agreement, and that they support women's tennis completely. But fans weren't buying it. Players weren't buying it. And the backlash only intensified. One commentator said, "It's not just the rejection. It's the timing, the messaging, the disrespect. Garcia deserved better." Another wrote, "This wouldn't happen to a male player ranked in the top 20. Not like this. Not publicly." Suddenly, the story wasn't about money anymore. It was about fairness, respect, humanity. And Caroline Garcia, soft-spoken, humble, hard-working, became the symbol of something bigger. White medium star, the surprise turnaround. But then, a plot twist no one expected. Just when it felt like Garcia had been pushed aside by the business of tennis, a new offer came. Actually, multiple offers. Sources revealed that 3 major global companies contacted her within 48 hours of the backlash. One insider said, "This is the biggest wave of support Garcia has received in her entire career. She has more leverage now than ever. And even more emotional. The players who supported her didn't do it for PR. They didn't expect anything in return. They simply refused to let another colleague suffer in silence. That solidarity, that unity, is what made this story explode across the world." White medium star, the interview that brought fans to tears. A week later, Garcia finally addressed the situation again. But this time, she was smiling. She said, "I didn't expect the reaction. I didn't expect so many players to reach out. I felt seen. I felt supported. I felt like I had a family." And when reporters asked her specifically about Coco Gauff and IGA Swiatek, her eyes watered. She said, "They lifted me up when I couldn't lift myself. I will never forget that." The room fell silent once again. But this time, it wasn't heartbreak. It was admiration. White medium star, the message to the world. This story isn't just about a $270,000 rejection, it's about the pressure elite athletes carry. It's about the moments of vulnerability they hide from the world. It's about the way sports, especially women's sports, are often judged by marketability instead of talent or character. But most importantly, it's about the fact that even in the most competitive environment, humanity can still win. Coco Gauff didn't have to speak. IGA Swiatek didn't have to speak. No player had to say a single word. But they did. Loudly. Proudly. Without hesitation. They stood behind someone who needed support. And in doing so, they reminded the world what real leadership looks like. Caroline Garcia may have lost a sponsor. But she gained something priceless. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that's shaping America and the world. We'll see you in the next update.